Book Introduction: The Power of Now. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is a life-changing book about living fully in the present moment. It teaches that true peace and happiness come only when we stop living in the past or worrying about the future. Tolle explains that most of our suffering comes from overthinking. When we learn to silence the mind and focus on the now, we find freedom from pain, fear, and stress. The book is not about religion. It's about awareness. It helps you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness behind them. Through simple lessons, the Power of Now shows how to live with peace, clarity, and joy in every moment of life. Chapter 1. You are not your mind. Eckhart Tolle opens The Power of Now with one of the most important spiritual insights ever shared. The greatest obstacle to enlightenment is the human mind itself. Most people live trapped inside their thoughts, believing that the constant voice in their heads is who they are. Tolle invites readers to question that belief and discover a deeper, quieter awareness behind all mental noise. The mind as a tool and a trap. The mind is an extraordinary instrument. It analyzes, plans, and helps us function in daily life. But when it begins to dominate our consciousness, it becomes destructive. Tolle explains that most people don't use their minds use them. Thoughts run endlessly like a background engine that never shuts off. Because we identify with this stream of thinking, we confuse it with our identity. I think, therefore I am. But true being, he says, begins when you realize, I am, therefore I can watch my thoughts. When you start observing your thoughts, a subtle shift occurs. Awareness separates from thinking. You discover that you are the witness, not the noise being witnessed. This distinction is the foundation of spiritual awakening. As soon as you can see the mind operating, judging, fearing, remembering, you are no longer completely inside it. You become the observer, and the mind begins to lose its power over you. The madness of the thinking mind. Human suffering, according to Tolle, comes not from external circumstances, but from the way we interpret and resist them through thought. The mind loves to dwell on what went wrong in the past or what might go wrong in the future. It replays old pain, imagines problems, and constantly compares the present moment with some ideal scenario that rarely exists. This constant mental movement creates anxiety, stress, guilt, and regret, all forms of psychological time. Humanity's collective identification with this mental noise is why the world is filled with conflict and unhappiness. Tolle writes that thinking is not the enemy, but over-identification with thinking is. Thought is a tiny fragment of consciousness. When you mistake that fragment for the whole of who you are, you lose connection with life itself. The beginning of awakening. Awakening begins when you start observing the mind without judging it. You simply notice what's happening inside, the rush of thoughts, the tension in your body, the emotions triggered by those thoughts. As you do this, a space opens within you, a still, quiet presence that is aware of thinking but untouched by it. That presence is your true self. It is not something you create, it's what remains when you stop identifying with the mind's endless chatter. The illusion of time. The mind cannot function without time. It needs the past for identity, this is what happened to me, and the future for fulfillment, someday I will be happy. Because of this, the mind constantly pulls your attention away from the present moment, which is the only place where life actually exists. Tolle explains that time is useful in the practical world, but disastrous psychologically.
When you live in the past, you live through memory. When you live in the future, you live through anticipation or fear. Both are illusions. Every moment of your life happens in the now. Even when you remember the past, you do it now. When you plan for tomorrow, you do it now. The now is not a slice of time, it is the timeless dimension in which all life unfolds. Understanding this changes your entire perception of existence. You realize that life is not a series of moments, life is the moment. To miss the now is to miss life itself. How the ego is born. Out of identification with the mind, a false sense of self, the ego, is created. The ego thrives on comparison, judgment, and separation. It says, I am better than this person, or I am worse than that person. It constantly seeks validation through possessions, achievements, or opinions. But the ego can never be satisfied because it is built on fear and lack. It feels incomplete and believes it must get something from the outside to be whole. This creates a cycle of endless desire and frustration. The ego's survival depends on your unconsciousness, on your inability to stay present. Once you observe it, the ego weakens because awareness exposes its illusion. When you see through the ego, you realize you were never broken or incomplete, you simply forgot your true identity as pure consciousness. Emotions. The body's reaction to your mind. Thoughts and emotions are inseparable. Every thought triggers an emotion, and every emotion feeds back into thought, creating loops of unhappiness. Tolle calls emotion the body's reaction to your mind. For instance, if your mind tells a story like, I'm not good enough, your body may respond with a sinking feeling or tension. The more you believe the story, the stronger the emotion grows. The key is to observe emotions in the body without labeling them. Feel them directly as energy. When you stop feeding emotions with mental stories, they pass through naturally. Awareness acts like light dissolving darkness. This practice frees you from emotional suffering. You begin to experience emotions without becoming them. Anger may arise, but you no longer are angry. Fear may appear, but you remain the space in which fear happens. Watching the thinker. Tolle offers a simple yet life-changing exercise. Watch the thinker. Whenever you catch yourself lost in thought, step back mentally and observe. Say to yourself, let me see what my next thought will be. In that moment, your attention shifts from thought to awareness. You become alert, present, and awake. If no thought appears, enjoy the silence. If a thought arises, watch it as if you were watching a cloud drift by. The more you practice this, the more frequently you experience gaps of stillness. Those gaps are not empty, they are full of life, peace, and intelligence. They connect you with your true nature. Freedom from the mind. Freedom does not come by trying to control or stop the mind. It comes through disidentification. You simply realize that the mind is just one aspect of who you are, not your essence. As awareness grows, the mind becomes quieter on its own. Thoughts lose their emotional charge. Old habits of worry, fear, and anger begin to dissolve. You start responding to life rather than reacting to it. You become more creative, compassionate, and clear because you are acting from presence instead of unconscious conditioning. Tolle emphasizes that this shift is not theoretical. It can happen in any moment you choose to be aware. Even a few seconds of true presence can reveal that inner freedom is not something you achieve, it's what you already are. The power of presence. Presence is not something to practice occasionally, it's a way of living. When you live in presence, every activity, walking, eating, listening, working, becomes sacred because you are fully conscious of it. Tolle says that even mundane tasks can become spiritual practices. When you wash dishes or drive your car, feel your hands, notice your breath, listen to the sounds around you. These small acts bring you out of the mind and into life itself. In presence, life feels fresh and alive. You start to notice beauty and simplicity in everything. The constant search for meaning fades because you realize life's meaning is revealed only in the now. Awareness and enlightenment. Many people think enlightenment is a distant goal, achievable only through years of meditation or religious practice. Tolle refutes this. Enlightenment is simply the end of identification with the mind and the beginning of living in pure awareness. When you are present, the illusion of time collapses. You no longer seek salvation in the future, you find it in this instant. That realization that nothing is missing now is enlightenment itself. You might still experience emotions, thoughts, or pain, but they no longer define you. They pass through your awareness like ripples on water. Beneath them, your sense of being remains untouched, silent, and peaceful. Living the realization. Tolle concludes the chapter by reminding readers that this is not a theory to be believed, but a truth to be lived. He encourages simple daily awareness. Notice when your mind is taking over. Bring attention back to your breath or body.
Chapter 2. Consciousness, the Way Out of Pain. In this chapter, Eckhart Tolle explains that most human pain is self-created, and the only way out of it is through conscious awareness, by living fully in the present moment. He describes how emotional pain becomes part of us, why we keep suffering, and how awareness can dissolve that suffering completely. Understanding the nature of pain. Every human being experiences pain. Some pain is physical, but most of it is psychological, the pain of loss, regret, guilt, fear, anxiety, or loneliness. Tolle explains that this pain isn't caused by external situations themselves, but by our mind's resistance to what is happening. When we mentally say, "This shouldn't be happening," we create inner tension. That tension is pain. The more we resist the present moment, the more we suffer. He writes that all emotional pain leaves behind a trace, an energetic residue that lives inside us. Over time, this builds up and becomes what he calls the pain body. The pain body, a living energy inside you. The pain body is a storehouse of old emotional pain. It is semi-autonomous, meaning that it can awaken and take control of your mind and behavior without you realizing it. When it becomes active, you suddenly feel upset, irritated, angry, sad, or anxious, often for no clear reason. You may overreact to minor events or feel emotional pain that seems much larger than the situation itself. This is because the pain body is feeding. It needs negative emotions to survive. It thrives on drama, conflict, and suffering. Tolle says, "The pain body wants to survive just like every other entity in existence, and it can only survive if it gets you to unconsciously identify with it." When you say, "I am angry," instead of "anger is arising in me," you have identified with the pain body. You've given it power. The moment you become conscious and observe it without judgment, you stop feeding it. Awareness is like light, and the pain body, like darkness, cannot survive in light. The power of conscious observation. The way out of pain isn't through fighting it, analyzing it, or running from it. It's through observation. When you feel emotional pain, simply watch it. Don't call it good or bad, right or wrong, just stay aware of it as a sensation in the body. When you do this, you are no longer identified with the pain. You have created space between you and it.
This simple act of observing begins to dissolve the pain body. Why? Because the pain body cannot survive when you are present. It needs your unconsciousness, your identification to stay alive. Tolle says, pain cannot feed on presence. The moment you become fully aware, it loses its energy source. How the mind creates psychological pain. Most of our pain doesn't come from what's happening now. It comes from what our mind tells us about it. The mind loves to live in the past and the future, replaying old memories or imagining future fears. Both create suffering. The past brings regret, guilt, and resentment. The future brings worry, anxiety, and fear. Yet neither the past nor the future exists right now. They are mental stories, not reality. The only reality is the present moment, and in the now, there is rarely any real problem. There might be a situation to deal with, but not suffering. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic. The situation is neutral. You're just sitting in a car. The suffering begins when your mind says, "I'm going to be late. This shouldn't happen," or "Why is this always happening to me?" The mind resists what is, and that resistance becomes pain. Surrendering to the present moment. The key to ending pain is acceptance. Acceptance means to stop resisting life as it is right now. It doesn't mean you like what's happening or that you stop taking action. It means you first say yes to reality without inner conflict. When you stop saying no to the present, a deep sense of peace arises. Even if the outer situation hasn't changed, the inner space becomes free. Tolle explains that most people think peace comes after solving all their problems. But in truth, peace comes now, when you accept the moment fully. From that peaceful state, you can deal with problems more effectively because you're no longer reacting emotionally. He writes, "Surrender is not weakness, it is strength. Only through surrender do you discover the power that has always been within you." Breaking the cycle of pain. Unconscious people repeat the same emotional patterns again and again in relationships, work, and life. They attract the same kinds of people or situations that trigger their pain body, reinforcing the cycle. For instance, someone who carries the pain of rejection might unconsciously seek relationships where they get rejected again, because the pain body craves that familiar energy. To break this cycle, awareness is the key. The moment you recognize the pattern, the moment you say, "I see what's happening here," the pattern begins to lose its power. Awareness stops the automatic repetition. It gives you the freedom to respond consciously instead of reacting unconsciously. Pain as a teacher. Tolle doesn't tell us to avoid pain. He invites us to learn from it. Pain has a purpose. It pushes us toward consciousness. When life becomes too painful, people often start seeking truth or awakening. Suffering becomes the catalyst for spiritual growth. He says, "The pain that you create now is always some form of non-acceptance, some form of unconscious resistance to what is." When you truly understand this, you stop blaming others or life for your suffering. You realize that pain is self-created through resistance, and awareness is the cure. Pain becomes your teacher, showing you where you are still unconscious. Every time you stay present with pain instead of running from it, your consciousness expands. Living in the now to stay free of pain. Tolle teaches a few simple yet powerful practices. 1. Observe your thoughts and emotions. When pain arises, become aware of it. Don't suppress or act on it, just notice it. 2. Bring attention to your body. Feel your breathing, your inner energy field. This keeps you grounded in the now. 3. Don't label experiences. Stop calling things good or bad. See them as they are. 4. Let go of stories. Avoid mental narratives about why something happened. Focus on what is. 5. Stay alert and still. Presence is quiet but powerful. It dissolves negativity naturally. When you practice this, life feels lighter. Problems still come, but they no longer control your emotions. Freedom from pain and suffering. The final part of this chapter reminds us that freedom is not found in the future. You won't be free when you get a new job, new partner, or more money. You'll be free when you realize that the present moment is all there is, and that it's enough. When you are fully conscious, pain loses its grip. When you stop resisting life, suffering disappears. And when you live in the now, you discover a quiet joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. Tolle says, "The moment you realize you are not present, you are present. Whenever you watch the mind, you are no longer trapped in it. Another dimension has entered your life, awareness. That awareness is your true self, beyond pain, beyond thought, beyond time. It is peace itself." Key takeaways from Chapter 2. Most pain is self-created through resistance to the present moment. The pain body is an accumulation of old emotional pain that feeds on negativity. Awareness, observing without judgment, dissolves the pain body. Acceptance and surrender to what is bring inner peace. Pain can be a great teacher guiding us toward consciousness. True freedom and healing come only through presence, living in the now. In short, the mind creates suffering by resisting reality. When you observe your pain without identifying with it, the pain loses power. Presence is the path to peace. Tolle's message is simple but life-changing. Whatever you resist persists. Whatever you fully accept transforms you.
Chapter 3. Moving deeply into the now. This chapter dives into the core message of the book, that living fully in the present moment is the key to peace, happiness, and spiritual awakening. Eckhart Tolle explains how the mind constantly pulls us away from the now, how time creates illusions, and how we can experience freedom by shifting our awareness from thinking to being. The illusion of time. Most people live as if the present moment is just a stepping stone to some future goal. They believe real life will begin when they achieve success, find love, or get what they want. But Tolle says this is a dangerous illusion. Time is a mind-created concept. Clock time is useful to plan meetings or travel, but psychological time is toxic. It means constantly thinking about the past and future while missing the only real moment that ever exists, now. He writes, "Nothing ever happened in the past, it happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will happen in the now." The past is memory. The future is imagination. The only reality is the present moment. When you deeply realize this, a huge burden disappears. You stop living for a better tomorrow and start living today. Why the mind hates the now. The human mind cannot stay in the present moment for long. It needs time, past and future, to survive. The mind is constantly saying things like, "I'll be happy when," "if only I had," "someday I'll achieve." This constant projection creates anxiety and dissatisfaction. Even when you get what you want, the mind quickly moves to the next goal, keeping you trapped in an endless cycle of wanting and waiting. Tolle explains, "The mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, it becomes destructive. To be identified with your mind is to be trapped in time." To live in the now, you must break identification with the mind. You must realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness observing them. Entering the now. How do we enter the now? Tolle says it's surprisingly simple, though not always easy. You can enter the now by becoming intensely aware of the present moment. Start with small things. Feel the sensation of your breath. Notice the air on your skin. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel your body from within. When you give full attention to what's happening now, you are no longer thinking about the past or the future. You are simply being. That's the essence of enlightenment, the silent, alert awareness of this moment. Tolle says, you find the now the moment you realize you are not present. Every time you notice your mind wandering, that noticing itself is awareness, and you are back in the now. The key is presence. Presence is your natural state, pure consciousness without thought. It's the space in which life unfolds. When you are present, even ordinary moments feel alive. Walking, eating, listening, or just sitting quietly becomes peaceful. In presence, the mind becomes still, time loses importance, and inner peace arises naturally. Tolle calls presence the portal to the unmanifested, the eternal dimension of life that exists beyond the physical world and mental noise. He writes, presence is needed to become aware of the beauty, the majesty, the sacredness of nature. Have you ever gazed up at the night sky, full of stars, in a state of awe and wonder? In that moment, you were free of time. You were in the now. Presence is not something to achieve. It's what remains when the chatter of the mind fades away. Watching the thinker. One of the most powerful practices Tolle suggests is to watch the thinker. Sit quietly and observe your thoughts as they arise. Instead of being lost in them, notice them as objects passing through your awareness. You might hear a voice in your head commenting, judging, or worrying, but you are not that voice. You are the awareness that notices it. This shift from thinking to watching creates a gap, a space of consciousness between you and the mind. In that space, peace and stillness appear. That stillness is your true nature. Silence, the doorway to being. Tolle emphasizes the importance of inner silence. Most people fear silence because their minds are noisy, but silence is not empty, it is full of presence in life. When you're silent inside, even briefly, you connect with your essence, pure consciousness. This connection brings deep peace, creativity, and joy that isn't dependent on circumstances. He says, stillness is the language God speaks. Everything else is a bad translation. Through silence, we move beyond thinking and into being. The joy of being. When you are truly present, you discover a subtle but powerful joy, not the excitement of achieving something, but the calm happiness of existence itself. This joy doesn't depend on success, status, or possessions. It comes from the simple realization, I am alive right now. Even in difficult moments, presence brings peace. For example, if you're waiting in a long queue, instead of getting irritated, you can become aware of your breath, your surroundings, and your inner stillness. The frustration disappears, replaced with calm awareness. Tolle calls this the joy of being. It is your natural state, hidden beneath the noise of the mind. The trap of time and psychological suffering. Tolle points out that most emotional suffering comes from psychological time, the mental obsession with past and future. People say, I've suffered so much in my past. I'll be happy when my life changes. But these are illusions. The past no longer exists. The future hasn't come. When you live in them, you carry unnecessary emotional pain. If you can observe your pain as it arises, in the now, it loses its power. Suffering only exists when the mind resists what is. He writes, the greater part of human pain is unnecessary. It is self-created as long as the unobserved mind runs your life. By returning to the now, you break the chain of time and suffering. Problems and the now. Tolle gives a profound insight. All problems are illusions of the mind. What he means is that problems only exist when we project ourselves into the future. For example, you might say,
I have a big problem. I might lose my job. But right now, in this moment, you are breathing, alive, and nothing terrible is happening. The problem exists only in thought, in your mental story about the future. That doesn't mean you ignore practical issues. You still take action, but you do so from a state of presence, not fear. When you live in the now, life becomes manageable. You handle one moment at a time. You realize that the present moment is always enough. Acceptance and surrender. Living in the now means accepting this moment fully, not wishing it were different. Whatever the situation is, say yes to it internally. This yes brings peace immediately, even before the situation changes. For example, if it's raining and you're upset because your plans are ruined, stop resisting the rain. Accept it. Feel it. Be one with it. Instantly, the emotional pain vanishes, not because the rain stopped, but because you stopped fighting reality. Tolle calls this the art of surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means no longer wasting energy on resistance. It means aligning yourself with life. When you surrender, a higher intelligence begins to guide your actions. You act more effectively, calmly, and wisely. Being versus doing. Tolle distinguishes between being and doing. Most people are always doing, chasing goals, seeking success, struggling for happiness. But without being, doing becomes empty and stressful. When your actions come from presence, they are powerful and creative. When they come from ego or time, they create anxiety and exhaustion. He says, doing flows from being. When you are present, whatever you do is infused with quality, care, and love, even the simplest act. Thus, enlightenment is not escaping from life, it's bringing consciousness into everything you do. Beyond happiness and unhappiness. Tolle explains that when you live in the now, you go beyond ordinary happiness and unhappiness. Happiness depends on external conditions, success, relationships, comfort. Unhappiness appears when those conditions change. But peace and presence are independent of conditions. They exist beyond the duality of good and bad, pleasure and pain. This is the state of spiritual freedom, being deeply at ease with life as it is. He writes, true salvation is freedom from negativity, from fear, from suffering, and from compulsive thinking. This salvation is found only in the now. The inner body, gateway to the now. Tolle introduces a simple yet powerful technique, connecting with your inner body.
Chapter 4. Facing Challenges, Learning from Failures. Every successful person you admire today, whether it's Elon Musk, APJ Abdul Kalam, Virat Kohli, or Oprah Winfrey, has one thing in common. They failed, not once, but multiple times. Yet what separates them from the 99% is not the absence of failure, but their relationship with it. Where others see failure as the end, the top 1% see it as feedback. They treat every mistake as a lesson, not a loss. Let's dive deep into how facing challenges and learning from failures can shape your path from zero to hero. 1. The inevitable nature of challenges. Life is not meant to be easy. Every great journey, every big dream comes with its own set of obstacles. When you aim high, when you truly decide to grow, the universe tests your commitment. These tests come in many forms: rejection, loss, criticism, financial struggles, or even self-doubt. The truth is, challenges are not punishments, they are preparations. They exist to refine your strength, sharpen your focus, and develop your resilience. Think of life as a gym. Every challenge is a new weight that helps you build your mental and emotional muscles. Without those weights, you'd never get stronger. The mindset shift from fear to growth. Most people fear challenges because they associate them with pain. But pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher.
The top 1% know that failure is temporary, but quitting is permanent. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That one question changes everything. It turns suffering into self-discovery. It transforms fear into focus. When you begin to view obstacles as opportunities for growth, you stop running from problems and start facing them with power. The power of resilience. Resilience is not about never falling, it's about rising every time you do. Every time you bounce back from a setback, you build an inner confidence that no one can take away. You realize that no failure can destroy you unless you let it. Remember Thomas Edison's story. When asked how he felt after failing 1,000 times to invent the light bulb, he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." That's the mindset of the 1%. They don't count failures, they count attempts. They know each failure brings them one step closer to success. Emotional strength, mastering the inner battle. The biggest challenges are not outside, it's the battle inside your own mind. Doubt whispers, "You can't do it." Fear says, "What if you fail again?" And society often laughs, "You're wasting your time." But the hero within you must speak louder. I can, I will, I must. You must learn to stay calm under chaos, confident under criticism, and focused under failure. This emotional discipline, this control over your reactions, is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Learning from failures, turning pain into power. Every failure carries a message. If you fail and don't learn, you've wasted it. But if you fail and grow, you've turned pain into wisdom. Here's how the 1% extract lessons from their failures. 1. Reflect honestly. Ask, what went wrong without blaming anyone? 2. Find the pattern. Is it a mindset issue, lack of skill, or poor planning? 3. Adjust and act. Apply the lessons immediately. 4. Stay humble. Every failure is a reminder that growth never ends. When you follow this process, failure stops being your enemy and becomes your greatest coach. Real-life example. Steve Jobs comes back. In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the very company he co-founded. Most people would have given up, but not him. He started again, built Pixar, created Next, and when he returned to Apple, he changed the world forever with the iPhone, iPod, and MacBook. Jobs later said, "Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me." That's what facing challenges does. It redirects you to a better version of yourself. The role of patience and persistence. Every dream demands time. Failures often happen not because people aren't capable, but because they quit too early. The top 1% don't rush results, they trust the process. They know that every delay is part of destiny. Imagine planting a seed and expecting fruit in a day. It's foolish. You must water it daily, nurture it, and wait. Success is the same. Persistence is not just doing the same thing over and over. It's doing the right thing, even when it's hard, until it works. Failure as a filter. Here's a truth few people understand. Failure filters out the weak. The ones who give up early were never truly committed. Those who keep going, despite rejection and pain, are the ones destined for greatness. So the next time you face a big challenge, remind yourself, this is not here to stop me, it's here to test me. If you pass the test, life opens the next door. Reframing failure. You never truly lose. Let's redefine failure once and for all. If you learn, you win. If you adapt, you grow. If you quit, you lose. That's the only real failure, quitting on yourself. The people who reach the top 1% are not the smartest, richest, or luckiest. They're simply the ones who refused to stop. Final lesson: rise stronger every time. Every setback you face is shaping you for your comeback. Failures are not roadblocks, they are building blocks of character. They teach humility, patience, and courage, the real foundations of success. So the next time life knocks you down, get up with a smile and say, "Is that all you've got?" Because each time you rise, you move one step closer to your heroic version, the one the world needs to see. Key takeaways. Challenges are life's way of preparing you for bigger success. Failure is feedback, not a full stop. Learn, adapt, and persist until success bows to you. Emotional strength separates winners from quitters. Every failure carries a message. Extract it and grow. Quote to remember: the difference between the 99% and the 1% is not in talent, it's in how they handle failure.
Chapter 5. Skills and Knowledge, Enhancing Your Capabilities. If mentality is your foundation and goals are your direction, then skills and knowledge are your weapons. You cannot reach the top 1% just with dreams. You need the tools to turn those dreams into reality. The truth is simple. You don't get paid for your time, you get paid for your value. And your value depends on how skilled and knowledgeable you are. Let's understand how to build this power inside you, step by step. 1. The new currency of the world is skills. In the modern world, skills are the new money. Degrees are important, but they are no longer enough. A person who can solve problems, communicate effectively, or create impact will always be in demand, no matter their background. Think about it. The best coders never stop learning new languages. The best YouTubers keep improving their editing and storytelling. The best entrepreneurs constantly study human psychology and marketing. The common pattern? They keep upgrading. The 1% never rely on yesterday's knowledge to win tomorrow's game. 2. Knowledge is power, but only when applied. You can read hundreds of books, attend seminars, and watch motivational videos, but none of that matters if you don't apply what you learn. Information is useless without implementation. The 99% people are stuck in the learning loop. They consume information, feel motivated, do nothing, forget it all. But the top 1% follow the growth loop. They learn, apply, fail, learn again, master it. Knowledge becomes wisdom only through action and reflection. 3. Learn like the top 1%. Here's how the most successful people learn differently. 1. They learn with purpose. They don't just learn random things. They focus on skills that align with their goals. 2. They learn daily. Even 30 minutes of learning every day compounds into massive growth over time. 3. They learn actively. They take notes, ask questions, and teach others. 4. They learn from failure. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Remember, smart work beats hard work, but smart learners beat both. 4. The 3 skill zones you must master. To join the world's top 1%, you must develop yourself in 3 powerful zones. A. Core skills, your craft. These are the technical or professional skills directly related to your field. If you're a designer, learn design tools and color psychology. If you're an entrepreneur, master sales, leadership, and finance. If you're a student, focus on analytical thinking and communication. This is your bread and butter, your professional identity. B. Soft skills, your communication and personality.
Soft skills decide how far your hard skills take you. You might be brilliant at your work, but if you can't communicate, collaborate, or manage emotions, you'll struggle to rise. Key soft skills to develop: communication, verbal and written; emotional intelligence, negotiation and persuasion; time management, and team leadership. These are your social weapons. They help you influence people and open doors. C. Growth skills, your future edge. These are the skills that keep you relevant and ahead of time. Examples: artificial intelligence, AI; digital marketing, personal branding, data analytics, content creation, financial literacy. The top 1% constantly ask, what skill will be valuable 5 years from now? And they start learning it today. 5. The rule of continuous upgrading. The 99% learn until they get a job. The 1% never stop learning. They treat knowledge like oxygen. It keeps them alive. When the world changes, they adapt fast. Example: when AI tools like ChatGPT came, many people felt threatened, but the 1% learned how to use it to their advantage. That's why they grow faster. The lesson is, don't fear technology or change. Learn it, master it, use it. 6. The 10,000-hour principle. Psychologist Malcolm Gladwell said, "It takes roughly 10,000 hours of practice to become world-class at anything." That means consistency is more powerful than talent. You don't need to be born genius. You just need to practice more than anyone else. The top 1% follow a mantra: every day, get 1% better. Even small improvements daily can create unimaginable results in a few years, because skill is built in silence and displayed in success. 7. The focused learning principle. In a world full of distractions, focus is the new superpower. Most people jump from one thing to another. They start learning graphic design today and switch to coding next week. But the top 1% go deep, not wide. They pick one area and master it until they become unbeatable. Once they reach the top, they expand to the next skill. So ask yourself, what one skill can change my life if I master it? And then go all in. 8. Learning from mentors and masters. The fastest way to learn is from someone who's already done it. Mentorship compresses decades into days. Find people who've walked the path you want to walk. Learn from their mistakes and experiences. Today, mentors don't always have to be physical. You can learn from books, podcasts, and online creators. The 1% don't waste time guessing. They model success. 9. Sharpening the mind, the role of reading and curiosity. If there's one habit all successful people share, it's reading. Bill Gates reads about 50 books a year. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading. APJ Abdul Kalam called books his best friends. Reading expands your mind, vocabulary, creativity, and perspective. But more importantly, it makes you think. The moment you stop being curious, you stop growing. So ask questions, seek answers, never lose your hunger to learn. 10. Financial literacy, the most ignored skill. One skill that 99% of people ignore, but every 1% person masters, is financial knowledge. They understand money, how to earn it, manage it, invest it, and multiply it. Because no matter what field you're in, if you don't understand money, you'll always work for someone who does. Start learning about saving and budgeting, investing, stocks, mutual funds, real estate, passive income, compound interest, and risk management. Knowledge about money gives you freedom, not just income.
11. Execution and information. You don't have to know everything to start. You just have to start with what you know and improve as you go. Many people wait for perfect knowledge before taking action. But perfection never comes. Growth comes from movement. Action creates clarity. So learn, act, adjust, repeat. That's how ordinary people become experts. 12. The lifelong student mindset. Even when the top 1% achieve success, they never act like they know everything. They stay humble and hungry to learn more. The moment you think, "I know enough," your growth stops. The world keeps evolving, and you must evolve with it. The key to staying in the top 1% is simple. Never stop being a student. 13. Practical plan to grow your skills and knowledge. Here's a simple plan you can start today. 1. Choose 3 high-value skills related to your goals. 2. Give 1 hour daily to learning or practicing them. 3. Track your growth weekly. 4. Apply everything you learn in real life. 5. Teach others. It strengthens your understanding. Do this for just 1 year, and you'll be far ahead of 90% of people around you. 14. Final lesson. Knowledge plus action equals power. Knowledge alone is potential power. It becomes real power only when you use it. The 1% don't just know more, they do more with what they know. So never stop learning, never stop applying, and never stop growing. Because your future belongs to the skills you build today. Key takeaways. Skills are the new Chapter 5, Skills and Knowledge, Enhancing Your Capabilities. If mentality is your foundation and goals are your direction, then skills and knowledge are your weapons. You cannot reach the top 1% just with dreams. You need the tools to turn those dreams into reality. The truth is simple. You don't get paid for your time, you get paid for your value. And your value depends on how skilled and knowledgeable you are. Let's understand how to build this power inside you, step by step. 1. The new currency of the world is skills. In the modern world, skills are the new money. Degrees are important, but they are no longer enough. A person who can solve problems, communicate effectively, or create impact will always be in demand, no matter their background. Think about it. The best coders never stop learning new languages. The best YouTubers keep improving their editing and storytelling. The best entrepreneurs constantly study human psychology and marketing. The common pattern? They keep upgrading. The 1% never rely on yesterday's knowledge to win tomorrow's game. 2. Knowledge is power, but only when applied. You can read hundreds of books, attend seminars, and watch motivational videos, but none of that matters if you don't apply what you learn. Information is useless without implementation. The 99% people are stuck in the learning loop. They consume information, feel motivated, do nothing, forget it all. But the top 1% follow the growth loop. They learn, apply, fail, learn again, master it. Knowledge becomes wisdom only through action and reflection. 3. Learn like the top 1%. Here's how the most successful people learn differently. 1. They learn with purpose. They don't just learn random things. They focus on skills that align with their goals. 2. They learn daily. Even 30 minutes of learning every day compounds into massive growth over time. 3. They learn actively. They take notes, ask questions, and teach others. 4.
They learn from failure. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Remember, smart work beats hard work, but smart learners beat both. 4. The 3 skill zones you must master. To join the world's top 1%, you must develop yourself in 3 powerful zones. A. Core skills, your craft. These are the technical or professional skills directly related to your field. If you're a designer, learn design tools and color psychology. If you're an entrepreneur, master sales, leadership, and finance. If you're a student, focus on analytical thinking and communication. This is your bread and butter, your professional identity. B. Soft skills, your communication and personality. Soft skills decide how far your hard skills take you. You might be brilliant at your work, but if you can't communicate, collaborate, or manage emotions, you'll struggle to rise. Key soft skills to develop: communication, verbal and written; emotional intelligence, negotiation and persuasion; time management, and team leadership. These are your social weapons. They help you influence people and open doors. C. Growth skills, your future edge. These are the skills that keep you relevant and ahead of time. Examples: artificial intelligence, AI, digital marketing, personal branding, data analytics, content creation, financial literacy. The top 1% constantly ask, what skill will be valuable 5 years from now? And they start learning it today. 5. The rule of continuous upgrading. The 99% learn until they get a job. The 1% never stop learning. They treat knowledge like oxygen. It keeps them alive. When the world changes, they adapt fast. Example: when AI tools like ChatGPT came, many people felt threatened, but the 1% learned how to use it to their advantage. That's why they grow faster. The lesson is, don't fear technology or change. Learn it, master it, use it. 6. The 10,000-hour principle. Psychologist Malcolm Gladwell said, "It takes roughly 10,000 hours of practice to become world-class at anything." That means consistency is more powerful than talent. You don't need to be born genius. You just need to practice more than anyone else. The top 1% follow a mantra: every day, get 1% better. Even small improvements daily can create unimaginable results in a few years, because skill is built in silence and displayed in success. 7. The focused learning principle. In a world full of distractions, focus is the new superpower. Most people jump from one thing to another. They start learning graphic design today and switch to coding next week. But the top 1% go deep, not wide. They pick one area and master it until they become unbeatable. Once they reach the top, they expand to the next skill. So ask yourself, what one skill can change my life if I master it? And then go all in. 8. Learning from mentors and masters. The fastest way to learn is from someone who's already done it. Mentorship compresses decades into days. Find people who've walked the path you want to walk. Learn from their mistakes and experiences. Today, mentors don't always have to be physical. You can learn from books, podcasts, and online creators. The 1% don't waste time guessing. They model success. 9. Sharpening the mind, the role of reading and curiosity. If there's one habit all successful people share, it's reading. Bill Gates reads about 50 books a year. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading. APJ Abdul Kalam called books his best friends. Reading expands your mind, vocabulary, creativity, and perspective.
But more importantly, it makes you think. The moment you stop being curious, you stop growing. So ask questions. Seek answers. Never lose your hunger to learn. 10. Financial literacy, the most ignored skill. One skill that 99% of people ignore, but every 1% person masters, is financial knowledge. They understand money, how to earn it, manage it, invest it, and multiply it. Because no matter what field you're in, if you don't understand money, you'll always work for someone who does. Start learning about saving and budgeting, investing, stocks, mutual funds, real estate, passive income, compound interest, and risk management. Knowledge about money gives you freedom, not just income. 11. Execution and information. You don't have to know everything to start. You just have to start with what you know and improve as you go. Many people wait for perfect knowledge before taking action. But perfection never comes. Growth comes from movement. Action creates clarity. So learn, act, adjust, repeat. That's how ordinary people become experts. 12. The lifelong student mindset. Even when the top 1% achieve success, they never act like they know everything. They stay humble and hungry to learn more. The moment you think, "I know enough," your growth stops. The world keeps evolving, and you must evolve with it. The key to staying in the top 1% is simple. Never stop being a student. 13. Practical plan to grow your skills and knowledge. Here's a simple plan you can start today. 1. Choose 3 high-value skills related to your goals. 2. Give 1 hour daily to learning or practicing them. 3. Track your growth weekly. 4. Apply everything you learn in real life. 5. Teach others. It strengthens your understanding. Do this for just 1 year, and you'll be far ahead of 90% of people around you. 14. Final lesson. Knowledge plus action equals power. Knowledge alone is potential power. It becomes real power only when you use it. The 1% don't just know more, they do more with what they know. So never stop learning, never stop applying, and never stop growing. Because your future belongs to the skills you build today. Key takeaways. Skills are the new
Chapter 6. Financial Management. Managing Money Effectively. Money is not just paper, it's freedom, security, and choice. But most people spend their entire lives working for money instead of learning how to make money work for them. The truth is harsh. The difference between the top 1% and the rest is not luck, it's financial literacy. The rich understand money, the poor only use it. Let's uncover how you can manage money like the top 1% and build true financial independence. Number 1. Understanding the real meaning of money. Money is not evil, and it's not everything either. It's simply a tool, a powerful one, that helps you design the life you want. People who say money doesn't matter are usually those who don't have it. Because when you don't control money, it controls you. The first step to mastering money is changing your mindset. Stop thinking of money as something you earn and spend. Start thinking of it as something you grow and multiply. Number 2. The 3 stages of financial growth. To manage money effectively, you must move through these 3 stages. Stage 1. Control. Learn to manage what you already have. Stage 2. Grow. Make your money work for you. Stage 3. Freedom. Build systems where money grows without your daily effort. Each stage demands discipline, knowledge, and consistency. Let's break them down. Number 3. Stage 2. Grow. Make money work for you. This is where the real game begins. The rich don't just save, they invest. Saving keeps money safe. Investing makes money grow. Your goal is to create multiple income streams that don't depend on your time. Some smart investment options. Stock market. Learn the basics of long-term investing. Mutual funds. Ideal for beginners. Less risk, more stability. Real estate. Property that appreciates or generates rent. Online assets. Digital products, YouTube, blogs, or ebooks. Business or side hustle. Turn your skills into income. Remember, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. By Warren Buffett. Start small, but start today. Number 4. Stage 3. Freedom. Building systems, not stress. Financial freedom doesn't mean being rich. It means not worrying about money. It's when your passive income exceeds your expenses. To reach this stage, focus on automation and systems. Automate your savings and investments. Track your spending with apps or simple spreadsheets. Build digital or real-world assets that earn for you even when you're not working. The goal is not to chase money, but to create a lifestyle where money chases you. Number 5. The power of compounding. Albert Einstein called compounding the eighth wonder of the world. If you invest Rs 5,000 every month for 20 years at a 12% return rate, you don't just have Rs 12 lakh, you will have over 50 lakh rupees. That's the magic of starting early and staying consistent. The 1% know this. That's why they invest regularly, not randomly. Don't wait for a big amount to start. Start with whatever you can, because time in the market beats timing the market. Number 6. The spending trap. Emotional money habits. Money problems are rarely about math. They are about mindset and emotions. Many people spend to impress others, fill emotional gaps, or escape boredom. This is called emotional spending. Before buying anything, ask yourself, is this a need or a want? Will this make me richer or poorer in the long run? Financial maturity means saying no to temporary pleasure for long-term gain. Every rupee you waste today delays your freedom tomorrow. Number 7. Learn to differentiate between assets and liabilities. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki teaches one golden rule, that rich people buy assets, poor people buy liabilities. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Examples: your rented property is an asset. Your fancy car is a liability. Stocks that pay dividends is an asset. Credit card debts are a liability. Before buying anything, ask, will this give me returns or take my money away? Number 8. Emergency fund, your financial safety net. Life is unpredictable. Job loss, health issues, or emergencies can happen anytime. That's why every 1% keeps an emergency fund worth 3 to 6 months of expenses. This prevents panic and debt during tough times. It also gives you the mental peace to make smart, long-term decisions. Number 9. Avoid debt traps. Credit cards, EMIs, and loans are convenient, but dangerous when misused. There are two kinds of debt. Good debt, used to build assets, for example, business investment or education. Bad debt, used for consumption, example, gadgets, luxury, or show-off. The 1% use debt strategically. The 99% use it emotionally. If you can't pay for something in full, you probably can't afford it yet. Control debt before it controls you. Number 10. Increase your income. Don't just cut expenses. Cutting costs is important, but earning more is the real game changer. Develop high-income skills like digital marketing, sales, content creation, or investing that help you multiply income sources. Never depend on one income. The 1% have 3 to 7 sources of income even if one stops. Number 11. Give and grow, the secret of abundance. It might sound strange, but one secret of the rich is giving. When you give, time, value, or money, you shift from scarcity to abundance. You send a message to your subconscious mind, I have enough. Generosity attracts opportunities, because when you create value for others, wealth naturally follows you. Number 12. Teach your mind to think rich. Wealth starts in the mind. If you think like the poor, you'll always stay poor. Rich people don't say, I can't afford this. They ask, how can I afford this? One kills possibility, the other creates it. The rich see opportunities where others see obstacles. They believe in growth, not limitation. Number 13. Final lesson. Control money before it controls you. Money is like fire, powerful, useful, but dangerous when uncontrolled. It can cook your food or burn your house. The difference lies in discipline, awareness, and planning. Start where you are, manage what you have, and build towards freedom. Because once you master money, you unlock the ability to design your own destiny.
Chapter 7. Productivity. How to work efficiently. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, yet some people create empires while others struggle to finish a to-do list. The difference isn't time. The difference is productivity. The top 1% don't just work hard, they work intelligently, with focus, clarity, and strategy. They know how to manage time, energy, and attention like assets. This chapter reveals how to build world-class productivity habits so that every hour of your day takes you closer to success. 1. What productivity really means. Productivity is not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things efficiently. It's not being busy, it's being effective. You can fill your day with random tasks and still achieve nothing meaningful. But when you focus on high-impact actions, even 4 productive hours can outperform 12 busy hours. The formula for true productivity is simple. Productivity equals focus times efficiency times consistency. 2. The myth of being busy. Most people are not productive, they're just busy. They spend time checking notifications, jumping between apps, or reacting to every message. Busyness feels like progress, but gives no results. The top 1% know that every yes to distraction is a no to success. They protect their focus like a treasure. Ask yourself, am I moving forward or just moving? 3. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. So instead of doing everything, identify and double down on that vital 20%. Examples. 20% of clients generate 80% of business. 20% of habits create 80% of personal growth. 20% of tasks bring 80% of income. The top 1% constantly ask, what few things will create the biggest impact? Then they focus there and eliminate the rest. 4. The power of focus, also known as deep work. Cal Newport, in his book Deep Work, said, the ability to focus deeply is a superpower in the modern world. Every time you multitask, your brain switches context, wasting time and energy. Instead, block out distraction-free hours for focused work. Tips for deep work. 1. Keep your phone away or on silent. 2. Work in a clean, quiet space. 3. Set a clear goal for each session. 4. Use a timer like Pomodoro, 50 minutes work, 10 minutes rest.
5. Track progress daily. 1 hour of pure focus is worth 5 hours of scattered effort. 5. The morning routine of high performers. Your morning decides your mindset for the day. The world's most productive people have powerful morning routines. A simple but effective 5-step morning routine. 1. Wake up early before the world distracts you. 2. Move your body, exercise or stretch to activate energy. 3. Meditate or reflect. Calm your mind. 4. Plan your top 3 goals. Set your focus. 5. Feed your mind. Read, listen, or learn something inspiring. A strong morning equals a strong day, equals a strong life. 6. Eliminate distractions ruthlessly. Distractions are productivity killers. Every notification, message, or scroll session breaks your flow. The top 1% protect their focus by creating no distraction zones. Tips: turn off non-essential notifications. Use Do Not Disturb mode during work. Uninstall apps that waste time. Set boundaries with people. Say no politely but firmly. Your time is your most expensive resource. Spend it wisely. 7. Manage energy, not just time. Even if you have time, you can't be productive without energy. That's why the top 1% take care of their physical and mental health. They eat well, sleep enough, and take short breaks. Follow this cycle. Work deeply, rest completely, repeat. Burnout is not a sign of hard work, it's a sign of poor management. 8. The One Thing Principle. Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, gives a simple but life-changing idea. Focus on the one thing that makes everything else easier or unnecessary. Ask yourself daily, what is the one thing I can do today that will make the biggest difference? Do that first. This principle helps you channel all your energy into meaningful work. 9. Learn to say no. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something that matters. Top performers protect their time by saying no often, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Say no to gossip, unnecessary meetings, or energy-draining people. Your focus is your fortress. Guard it. 10. Rest, reflect, recharge. Productivity is not about being busy every second. Even machines need rest, and so do you. Take time to rest and reflect. End your day by reviewing, what did I complete? What can I improve tomorrow? Weekly reflection brings awareness. Awareness creates progress. 11. The productivity mindset. Productivity is not a skill, it's a mindset. It's about taking responsibility for your time and life. Don't wait for perfect motivation. Start with discipline. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you growing. Each day, ask, did I move one step closer to my goal today? If yes, you've already won. 12. The ultimate productivity system. To summarize the habits of the top 1%, wake up early and plan your day. Focus on top 3 important tasks. Avoid distractions and multitasking. Take breaks and manage energy. Reflect daily and improve weekly. Stay consistent. Progress compounds. Productivity isn't about doing everything, it's about doing what truly matters.
Chapter 8. Enlightened Relationships. Relationships are one of the most powerful mirrors of our inner state. They can either trap us in unconsciousness or become a path to spiritual awakening. In this chapter, Eckhart Tolle explains how most relationships are rooted in ego and dependency, and how they can be transformed through awareness and presence. Tornado, the unconscious relationship love and hate cycle. Most people's relationships swing between love and pain. In the beginning, there's passion, attraction, and excitement. It feels like true love. But soon, the same relationship brings anger, frustration, or resentment. Why? Because what we often call love is not real love. It's egoic attachment. It's the mind's attempt to use another person to fill an inner emptiness. Tolle explains that the ego uses relationships to feed itself. It seeks validation. I am loved, so I must be worthy. It seeks ownership. You are mine. It fears loss. I can't live without you. When the other person doesn't meet our expectations, love turns into pain. The ego feels threatened and attacks. This is why love can quickly become hate. In this unconscious relationship, both partners are not relating as conscious beings. They are acting out patterns created by the mind and the pain body. Hot flare. The pain body in relationships. The pain body plays a big role in romantic relationships. It looks for emotional drama, fights, arguments, jealousy, to feed itself. When two people's pain bodies interact, it's like a storm. They trigger each other's deepest wounds. Small misunderstandings become emotional explosions. Tolle explains that when the pain body is active, you are no longer present. You are possessed by past pain. The other person becomes your enemy, the one causing you suffering. But in reality, they are only reflecting the pain already inside you. The way out is awareness. When you notice the pain body taking over, that urge to argue, blame, or withdraw, just stop and observe it. Don't identify with the emotion. Don't act from it. Just feel it fully, without adding a mental story. In that moment of awareness, the pain body loses its power. Orange heart. Real love versus ego love. Real love doesn't come from the mind. It comes from presence. When you are present with another person, truly here, without judgment, fear, or expectation, you allow love to flow naturally. Love in its true form is not an emotion, but a state of being. It arises when the walls of ego dissolve, and you recognize the same consciousness within both of you. Ego love says, I love you because I need you. True love says, I love you because I see myself in you. In true love, there's no fear of loss, no dependency, no need to control, no expectation for the other person to complete you. When you find peace and wholeness within yourself, your relationships become peaceful too. Female heart. Being present in relationships. Presence changes everything. When both people are conscious, the relationship becomes a spiritual practice. You learn to listen deeply without mentally preparing your response. Speak truthfully without blame or manipulation. Forgive quickly because you understand others act unconsciously when they are not present. See beyond form, recognizing that every human being is a reflection of the same life essence. Tolle says that the main purpose of a relationship is not to make you happy, but to make you conscious. The challenges you face in relationships show you where you are still unconscious. Every disagreement or emotional reaction is an invitation to wake up, to become more aware. Plant. The space between you. True connection happens
not in words or emotions, but in the space of stillness between two people. When you sit silently with someone you love and feel peace, that's presence. There's no need to talk, explain, or impress. You simply are. This silent connection is the foundation of enlightened relationships. Tolle emphasizes that this inner stillness is not cold or distant. It's full of warmth, compassion, and acceptance. From this space, you can truly see and love the other person as they are, without needing them to change. Broken heart. When one partner is unconscious. What if your partner is not spiritually awake? Tolle says you cannot awaken another by force, but your own presence can influence them. When you remain conscious, calm, aware, and non-reactive, you stop feeding the pain-body dynamic. You create a field of peace that your partner can feel. If they are ready, they will respond and rise in consciousness too. If not, you still remain free within yourself. Sometimes awareness may even reveal that a relationship no longer supports your growth. If that happens, you can leave, not from anger, but from clarity and love. Dove. Love as a portal to the divine. When two conscious beings come together, their relationship becomes sacred. It's not about ownership or desire. It's about helping each other awaken. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice presence. Every silence becomes a shared meditation. Every moment together becomes a reminder of the now. Tolle writes, through the other person, you can become aware of yourself. When you see beyond the person, beyond their form, behavior, or personality, and recognize the same divine consciousness shining through them, you have entered the state of true love. This love doesn't fade with time because it's not based on conditions. It doesn't depend on physical attraction, status, or success. It flows endlessly from the source within you. SCS. Practical steps to create enlightened relationships. 1. Be aware of your emotional triggers. When conflict arises, notice what emotion is taking over. Observe it before it turns into reaction. 2. Practice conscious listening. When your partner speaks, listen without mentally judging or defending. Just be present. 3. Don't seek completion in another person. You are already whole. The relationship should enhance your awareness, not fill your emptiness. 4. Allow space in the relationship. Give yourself and your partner time for silence, reflection, and solitude. Space allows love to grow. 5. Transform pain into awareness. Whenever pain arises, use it as a doorway to go deeper into presence. 6. Focus on the now. Don't bring the past into the present moment. Every day, meet your partner as if for the first time. Sunflower. The shift from need to being. The ego says, I need you to make me happy. Consciousness says, I am happy within myself, and I share that joy with you. When you shift from need to being, your love becomes unconditional. You are no longer giving to get. You are giving because love naturally flows through you. This shift transforms relationships from a battlefield into a garden, a place of growth, acceptance, and peace. Lotus. Summary of key insights. Most relationships are based on egoic need and unconscious pain. The pain body uses relationships to create drama and feed itself. Presence dissolves pain and brings real love.
Real love is not an emotion, it's the state of being. Conscious relationships are built on awareness, space, and acceptance. Even if one person awakens, it can transform the whole relationship. Love in its highest form is not possession, but freedom. Final words. Love as the state of presence. At the end of this chapter, Tolle reminds us, love is not a relationship. Love is a state of being. It exists deep within you and cannot be lost. When you are connected to the now,
Chapter 9. Beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. In this chapter, Eckhart Tolle explores one of the most profound truths of spiritual awakening, that there is a state beyond the duality of happiness and unhappiness. This state is not emotional, it is inner peace. He explains that while happiness and unhappiness depend on conditions, true peace is independent of external situations. It arises from presence, from being fully aligned with the now. The nature of happiness. Everyone wants to be happy. People chase success, relationships, money, recognition, or adventure, believing these things will bring lasting happiness. But Tolle points out that happiness derived from external conditions is temporary. When life goes the way you want, you feel good. When it doesn't, you feel bad. This constant fluctuation creates emotional instability. Happiness and unhappiness are two sides of the same coin. They depend on what's happening outside you, on pleasure and pain, gain and loss, success and failure, praise and criticism. In contrast, peace doesn't depend on anything. It comes from within, from acceptance of the present moment as it is. The duality of life. Tolle reminds us that the external world will always move in opposites, success and failure, pleasure and pain, birth and death, growth and decay. You cannot have one without the other. The moment you try to cling to pleasure, you also invite pain. This is why the Buddha called it dukkha, the unsatisfactoriness of life. The mind keeps chasing highs and lows, but in doing so, it remains trapped in duality. Real freedom comes only when you rise above this cycle. Transcending the duality. To transcend duality doesn't mean to deny joy or avoid sadness. It means you observe both without getting lost in either. When good things happen, you enjoy them, but remain detached. When difficult things come, you accept them without resistance. You stay rooted in the deeper stillness beneath both. This stillness is your true self, the consciousness behind all experiences. Tolle explains, the joy of being is not the opposite of pain or sadness. It is the still, unchanging background in which all emotions come and go. Acceptance as the doorway to peace. The key to reaching this deeper peace is acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean liking or approving of what happens. It simply means not resisting it. You say internally, this is what is. In that moment, you stop fighting reality, and instantly, peace arises. Even in pain, loss, or failure, acceptance brings calm. Because suffering doesn't come from the event itself, it comes from your resistance to it. For example, if you lose your job, you can either collapse into fear or stay present and deal with the situation calmly. The event is the same. Your inner response makes the difference. Suffering as a teacher. Every painful experience contains a hidden lesson. It exposes where you are still attached, still identified with the ego or your circumstances. When you bring awareness to pain, it transforms into wisdom. Tolle says,
Every emotional pain leaves behind a residue of unconsciousness. If you don't face it now, you carry it as a shadow in your life. So rather than escaping pain, look at it directly. Feel it fully, but don't identify with it. Watch it as a witness. In doing so, the pain loses its power, and you awaken to a deeper peace that is not disturbed by life's ups and downs. Joy of being versus pleasure of doing. Most people confuse joy with pleasure. Pleasure always depends on something: eating your favorite food, watching a good movie, getting praise. Joy, however, comes from being, not doing. When you are present, fully aware of this moment, you feel an inner aliveness that needs no reason. That's joy. It's the same feeling a child has while playing, or a person feels while watching a sunset, completely immersed in the now. This joy is your natural state. The more you live in presence, the more joy flows effortlessly through you. Beyond emotional highs and lows. Tolle explains that even positive emotions can keep you trapped if you identify with them. When you depend on excitement or passion for fulfillment, you become addicted to emotional highs. But every high is followed by a low. The awakened person doesn't seek emotional excitement, they seek peaceful aliveness. It's not dull or lifeless. It's a deep, quiet contentment. You no longer need life to be a certain way to feel good. This is the beginning of true freedom. The peace that passes understanding. When you are fully present, a subtle peace begins to fill you, even when nothing good seems to be happening. This peace is not dependent on mood, situation, or people. It's the peace of simply existing, of being one with the present moment. You realize you are not the thinker. You are not your emotions. You are not your possessions or achievements. You are the awareness behind all these things. From this realization, deep gratitude and serenity arise naturally. Tolle writes, "The peace you find when you accept the now is the peace of God." When peace becomes the normal state. As you grow in awareness, peace becomes your natural background. Even when challenges come, the surface of your life may move, but the depth remains still, like the ocean beneath the waves. You might still experience emotions, but they don't overwhelm you anymore. Anger may arise, but it doesn't control your actions. Sadness may come, but it doesn't define your being. This balance allows you to live fully, enjoying pleasure, accepting pain, and remaining free through both. Living in surrender. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving in to the flow of life. When you surrender to what is, you stop opposing reality. You become one with the movement of the universe instead of fighting it. Life becomes effortless. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start trusting that everything serves your awakening. Tolle calls surrender the most powerful spiritual act because it takes you beyond ego. The ego always resists, demands, and judges. But surrender allows the deeper intelligence of life to guide you. In surrender, you find strength, not weakness. You act more clearly, love more deeply, and live more peacefully. Living as a witness. One of the most freeing practices is to live as the observer. Watch your mind and emotions like you would watch clouds drifting across the sky. You are not the anger, not the sadness, not the joy. You are the space in which they appear. When you live this way, life's events no longer disturb your inner peace. You experience joy even in the midst of challenges, because you know that nothing real can be taken from you. Chapter 10. The Meaning of Surrender. The final chapter of The Power of Now explores the deepest level of spiritual awakening, surrender. Eckhart Tolle describes surrender not as weakness or defeat, but as the complete acceptance of the present moment. It is the key to ending all inner conflict and discovering peace beyond understanding. When you surrender, you stop fighting life. You stop demanding that reality be different. You align yourself with the flow of existence itself, and in that alignment, you discover freedom, power, and serenity. What true surrender means? Surrender is the inner acceptance of what is. It means letting go of resistance, mentally and emotionally. It doesn't mean you stop taking action or become passive. It means that your actions come from clarity, not from fear or struggle. For example, if you're stuck in traffic and start getting angry, you're resisting what is. The situation won't change, but your suffering increases. If you accept it, I am in traffic and this moment is as it is, immediately there's peace. Surrender is a shift from reacting to allowing, from mental noise to inner stillness, from ego control to universal flow. Tolle writes, "Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to, rather than opposing, the flow of life." Resistance creates suffering. The root of all emotional pain is resistance to the present moment. The mind constantly labels moments as good or bad, then reacts with desire or fear. But life itself is neutral. It's our resistance that creates the experience of suffering. When we say no to the now, whether through anger, complaint, or worry, we separate ourselves from reality. That separation is the cause of psychological pain. Tolle explains that surrender ends this separation. When you say yes to the present moment, you merge with life instead of fighting it. Peace arises instantly, even if nothing outside changes. The power of saying yes. Surrender begins with a simple inner movement, saying yes to this moment. Even in difficulty, you can quietly affirm, "Yes, this is what is. Let me be with it fully." This yes doesn't mean approval, it means presence. It transforms how you experience life. Problems become challenges to respond to, not enemies to fight. Pain becomes a teacher, not a punishment. Uncertainty becomes space for growth. In every yes, there is peace. Ego and the illusion of control. The ego thrives on resistance. It always wants to be right, to control, to argue with reality. It believes that surrender means failure because the ego's identity depends on struggle. But the truth is the opposite. When you stop fighting, you become more powerful. When you stop resisting, your actions become aligned with the greater intelligence of the universe. In surrender, you act from inner stillness, not from emotional reaction. This kind of action is far more effective, creative, and peaceful. Surrender in everyday life. Tolle explains that surrender can be practiced in simple, ordinary situations. When you're waiting in line, instead of getting irritated, become fully present. When you lose something, accept the loss, then act calmly. When someone criticizes you, observe your emotional response without defending the ego. Each moment of surrender builds your strength. It's not about big gestures, but small shifts in consciousness, from resistance to allowing. Even saying silently, "I choose to allow this moment to be," can transform your inner state completely. Surrender during suffering. The greatest test of surrender comes during times of pain, loss, illness, heartbreak, or fear. The mind will shout, "This shouldn't be happening."
but fighting pain only deepens it. Tolle teaches that when suffering becomes intense, something beautiful can happen. The mind gives up. You can no longer fight, and in that moment, true surrender happens naturally. A deep peace enters because the inner struggle ends. You may still feel pain, but without resistance, it doesn't turn into suffering. Pain is inevitable in life. Suffering is optional. The deepest level of surrender, to death. The ultimate surrender is to death, not just physical death, but the death of the ego. We fear death because we identify with the form, the body and mind. But when you realize you are the formless consciousness behind all life, death loses its meaning. Tolle writes, "Death is not the opposite of life. Life has no opposite. The opposite of death is birth. Life is eternal." To surrender to death means to accept impermanence, to see that all forms come and go, but the essence of being remains. When you stop resisting endings, relationships, phases, even life itself, you experience profound freedom. Surrender and inner transformation. Through surrender, the ego dissolves. You realize you are not separate from life. You are life. A subtle joy arises from this realization. You no longer depend on circumstances for peace. Even amid chaos, you feel grounded, calm, and alive. This is the beginning of a new consciousness, one that acts without ego and loves without condition. Tolle says, when you surrender, you open yourself up to the full power of life. Only then can grace flow through you. Surrender and action. Many people misunderstand surrender as passivity, but Tolle clarifies that it is not. Surrender means that your actions come from a deeper state of awareness. When you stop resisting, your energy is no longer wasted on mental struggle. That energy becomes available for inspired, intelligent action. From this space, you can make clear decisions, take effective steps, and face challenges with calm determination. True surrender brings peace inside and power outside. How to practice surrender. 1. Observe resistance. Notice whenever you feel tension, irritation, or impatience, it's a sign you're resisting what is. 2. Accept the moment. Take a deep breath and mentally say, "This is what is." 3. Let go of judgment. Stop labeling moments as good or bad. See them as part of the greater flow of life. 4. Act from clarity. After accepting, take whatever action feels right, not out of fear or anger, but from peace. 5. Trust life. Believe that every event serves your growth and awakening. When surrender becomes natural. At first, surrender must be practiced consciously, but as awareness deepens, it becomes natural, like breathing. You begin to live in harmony with life rather than in opposition. You respond instead of react. You trust instead of fear. Even challenges no longer threaten your peace because you know that behind every form is the same stillness, the same consciousness that you are. This is the beginning of enlightened living.
As the power of now comes to an end, we are left with one timeless truth. The present moment is all there ever is. Eckhart Tolle's message is simple yet life-changing. Happiness, peace, and enlightenment are not found in the past or future, but in the now. Every time you lose yourself in thought, regret, or worry, you drift away from life itself. But when you return to the present, when you become aware of your breath, your surroundings, and your still inner being, you connect with your true essence. This book is not meant to be read once and forgotten. It's meant to be lived. Every page is an invitation to wake up, to see that you are not your mind, and to experience life as it unfolds, here and now. When you start practicing presence, you no longer chase peace, you become peace. You no longer seek joy, you feel joy in the smallest moments. You no longer wait for a better future, you realize that this moment is already enough. Tolle's wisdom reminds us that enlightenment isn't about escaping the world, it's about living fully within it, free from the bondage of thought and time. So as you finish this journey, remember, the past no longer exists. The future hasn't arrived. All you ever truly have is now. Live it, feel it, be it. Because the power of your entire life lies in this very moment.